Hello, this is Allie with the Perception Trainers, author of The Perception Diet, and today I want to finish up my series on how to make permanent positive life changes. I think I said before that there was only going to be 2 parts, but then I thought of a 3rd part, so that's why we're here. So this is part 3 of the how to make permanent positive life changes. So we already covered how, understanding where you want to go is so important, and why taking little steps in the direction of where you want to go are the 2 best techniques for moving into a state in your life where you can make positive changes that last forever, that you're not yo-yoing back and forth between your old habits and the new habits that you want. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is why you cannot make changes from a state of fear. Okay, so Bruce Lipton has a YouTube video called The Biology of Belief, and I highly recommend that you go and watch that. I'll put the link down below. And in that video, he essentially talks about how his study of the cells, so he has studied protein molecules, he's studied other cells that have been isolated in petri dishes, and what he has observed is that when a cell is in a state of fear, it goes into lockdown mode. So essentially all it's doing when it's in a state of fear or in a state of lack or in a state of survival, so fight or flight, it is maintaining the status quo only. So there's no growth, there's no regeneration, there's no evolving, there's not even really healing and repair as much as there would be if you were in a state of love. It's mostly just maintenance for maintenance sake, okay? Whereas when a cell is in a state of love, when it is in a state of rest and digest, he observed that the cells would then regenerate, they would grow, they could adapt to their environment, they could evolve, they would literally regenerate and become better, right? So he said essentially, like, what's happening in our bodies, like on a cellular level, is that when we are in a state of fear, we are in lockdown mode. We are in maintain status quo because we know we can survive that, okay? And it makes perfect sense if we look at our brain stems and the way that we evolved, is that when we were in a state of fight or flight, when we were in a state of fear, back when our brains were developing, we needed to just do what was predictable in order to survive, right? Because if we were in a state of fear or fight or flight in the past, it was because a lion was trying to eat us. It was because there was famine. It was because there was lack of literal resources that helped keep us alive. And so it wasn't a time to expand, it wasn't a time to grow, it wasn't a time to become more, it wasn't a time to explore, it wasn't a time to develop in any way. It was a time to just hunker down, do what we know works, right? Because that ensures survival, right? Whereas when we are in a state where we know there's food, we know we can protect ourselves if there's predators, we know that we have air to breathe, we know we have shelter, we know we have community, that's the time when it was appropriate to explore, when it was appropriate to delve into things, when it was appropriate to expand and grow and learn and become all of these things that we want to be. And so this is basically like the last thing that I really hope that you take and really drive home, is that when you are in a state of fear, okay, no matter how amazing your intentions are, no matter how brilliant you know that you can be, or how shining you know your life can be, or how amazing your goals for yourself are, if you are in a state of fear, your survival mechanism, okay, survival is going to trump everything, okay? It's going to ensure that you stay where you are, because even if where you are isn't great, even if where you are is even kind of, self-destructive or negative or whatever, right? It is survivable. It is predictable. You know how to do that. And when you were in fight or flight, it doesn't matter how much your cognitive brain can understand that change would be better for you. Survival will always trump everything, okay? So when your survival mechanism is triggered, it will trump everything. It will hunker down, it will act and work to maintain the status quo, all right? So this is why trying to change from a fear state doesn't work ever, right? Your brain won't let it happen. Your survival mechanism won't let it happen. It can't happen, right? You cannot override your biology. And so this is something that I really want you to sit with and take home. So that means, what do I mean when I say trying to change from a state of fear? So when I say you cannot change from a state of fear. This means you cannot use shame, you cannot use blame, you cannot use guilt, you cannot use, feeling bad about what has happened in order to learn a lesson. You cannot use fear of what might happen if you keep doing what you're doing. You cannot use fear of what is happening. You cannot use fear of what other people will think of you. You cannot use fear of, like I say, you just can't use fear. You can't use blame. You can't use shame. You can't use berating yourself. This is why things like, the video where the girl was calling out fat people, it's like, even if some of those things were true, they are hurting themselves with maybe their poor habits. Doesn't matter. Yelling at them, telling them they're bad, telling them they shouldn't be the way that they are, telling them they shouldn't do what they're doing, doesn't work. It's just going to activate their fear response. It's going to make them feel afraid and attacked and alone. And it's only going to encourage people to continue doing what they're doing, because that's all you can do when you're in a state of fear. Okay? Biology will always override your higher thinking. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much you understand that changing your eating habits needs to happen, or changing your exercise habits needs to happen, or whatever, or how bad your health is because of your habits. If you're in a state of fear, you're going to continue doing what you're doing. And you might be able to change for a little while, and I've kind of talked about this with some of my clients before. It's like, usually people can use their fear to help them change for about 4 days, right? That seems to be the max of what I've seen most people. You can use your willpower to muster through to a new thing for about 4 days. But if you're using fear at around day 4, you're going to fall off the wagon. Always. Because like I say, you can't override your biology. So, what is the solution? What do you do? How do you move yourself to a state of love? So, first thing you need to understand is, am I moving from a state of fear? You need to be radically honest with yourself, okay? So if anything inside of you is trying to get away from something you're afraid of, or if you're trying to use shame or blame, or if you're guilting yourself, or if you're telling yourself that all the things that you're doing are terrible and wrong and you're a bad person and you shouldn't be like this, or you shouldn't do this to your health, or you shouldn't do this, blah, 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 or, I'm afraid of what might happen to me if I keep doing this. If I keep staying on this path, I'm so scared that something bad is going to happen to me, or blah, 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 blah. You gotta shift out of that state before you're ever going to be able to make a positive life change that you're going to be able to stick with, okay? So really get honest with yourself with step 1. Am I in a state of fear? Am I trying to move away from something I don't want? Am I using shame, blame, guilt, fear, sadness, rage, any of these things to motivate me to be different? If so, you're in a fear state, okay? And you can tell your body's not relaxed. Your mind is going to be racing. The choices that you have available to you in that place, none of them are going to feel very good. Some of them might feel a little manic. You might get oh, okay, I'm going to change all these things, and and you have all these ideas. And again, that's also in a state of fear, okay? So either you're depressed about the choices that you have available to you, or you're manic about the choices that you have available to you. And that's basically the second way that you can tell if you're in a fear state. So if you feel depressed about your choices or manic about your choices, those are both clues that you're in a state of fear, and your change, the way that you want to change, isn't going to work, okay? So from there, I want to invite you to just start doing some things that click your body and your mind into safety zone, okay? So things like meditation, things like deep breathing, things like body-mind connection, things like just slowing down and writing in your journal, things like talking to people who you can trust and that love you and love you back, or that you love and love you back, going for walks in nature, having a hot bath, all of these things, okay? Just moving yourself, so not focusing on the thing that you want to change, right? Because that is usually going to just trigger panic if you don't know how to calm yourself, right? If you know that you're in a state of fear by any of those things and you want to change, don't focus on the thing you want to change for a little bit. Focus on shifting yourself out of that fear state and into the love state, all right? Watching funny videos on YouTube, cuddling, connecting with someone that you love, allowing someone to hold you or snuggle you. Even a compression blanket can make you feel less afraid, okay? And when you practice over and over and over again, shifting yourself out of that state of fear into the state of love, even if it's just for a few seconds or a few minutes while you're doing deep breathing, that counts, okay? Start there. Because like I say, most people are in a perpetual state of fear, so much so that they don't even notice anymore, okay? Like, it's not even a thing that they're aware of. They're not like, yeah, I'm totally walking around in fear anymore. It's just like, it feels normal. It feels normal to be in a state of fear. It feels normal to be in a state of panic. It feels normal to be in a state of running away from this or trying to deny this or get away from that or whatever. That's just how we live, right? We don't know how it feels to be relaxed and in our bodies and centered and just calm and okay and observing, right? And so practicing these practices, it's not so that you can become still. It's not so that you can become calm. It's because when you become still, when you become calm, then you can access your power. Then you can access the person that you want to be, right? Then you can access choices that will feel either exciting or relaxing when you think about them, okay? And when a choice feels either exciting, not manic, exciting, or relaxing, like your body releases and relaxes when you think about it, that's how you know you're back in that state of love and you can start to move in your desired direction in the way that you just thought of there, right? So, checking in with yourself. Am I in a state of fear? Am I trying to get away from things I don't want, right? And you can do these practices too, where you visualize the thing that you do want. You visualize having the thing that you want. You visualize being where you want to go. And that will help to relax your body. That will help to make you calm. That will help to check you out of fear and back into love, okay? And then from there you think, okay, what's the first step I can take in the direction of my goal, right? And if it feels relaxing or exciting, that's the step you take. If it feels manic or stressful or depressing, you go back to doing something else to help bring you back into a state of love, to take you out of that fear state. Because bottom line, you cannot move anywhere positive and you cannot stay there if you are in a state of fear. You need to move from a state of love. So this is why you cannot shame yourself into the way that you want to be. You cannot blame yourself into the way that you want to be. You cannot yell and berate at yourself into the person that you want to be. It won't work. You have to use love. It's the only way. You have to use gentleness. You have to use kindness. It's the only way that your brain, literally your biology, will allow you to become the person that you want to become. And I've learned this the hard way, okay? So like that's why I wanted to make this video. It's like I used to be and still struggle sometimes with being very harsh and being very just like, do this. I'm the worst with myself and with the people who are close to me. It's like, it's just like I get frustrated and it's like, just change, just do this thing, just come on, can't you see the bad things that are happening because of what you're doing? And it's like, ugh, I've done it enough times now to see that it doesn't work. It really doesn't, right? And that using love works, right? So that's why I wanted to offer that to you. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. Like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram. I'm Urban Fruit Bat. Follow me on Facebook. I'm Perception Trainers. And yeah, if you have any questions, I love hearing your questions. I was thinking also of maybe doing a Q&A video. So if you guys have like questions about me or my life, I would totally be open to answering those. But then of course, if you just have questions in general you want me to answer, fire away. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.